Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today's video will be only focused on Battle for Azeroth and 8.3 and how we can prepare for 8.3. So if you only watch my channel for classic updates, this might not be the video for you. However, if you want to make some gold in BFA, this is absolutely the video for you. For clarity's sake, I always try to separate the thumbnails between my classic and BFA videos, so you can see what type of video it is based on the logo used in the thumbnail. In classic videos, I'll use the WoW Classic logo, while in BFA videos, I'll use the WoW BFA logo. And in videos that cover WoW in general or functions as a classic/BFA crossover, I will use the general WoW logo. These logos will usually be located in the top right corner of the thumbnail. So we actually have a launch date for 8.3 now, January 14th for NA and January 15th for Europe. That gives us between 2 to 3 weeks to actually get prepared and start saving up some currency and items, while selling off our BOEs and other items that will lose its value when 8.3 comes out. 8.3 will be bringing new life to BFA, giving us new content, a new raid, a new Mythic Plus season, and Visions of Nya'Lotha, which is basically a mini scenario offering different rewards. It also brings in a corruption system for gear, basically adding another layer of RNG, while removing Titan Forging, so they are removing one layer of RNG to add another layer of RNG, which is even more confusing. But corruption might actually make the game better, at least for boosters and gold makers. We also have data from PTR showing that even trash mobs inside raids will drop BOE items with actual corruption stats on them, meaning farming BOEs inside raids might actually be pretty rewarding, but again it will also be pretty heavily based on RNG. We will cover that more later in this video, but from a gold maker's point of view, this patch is looking good. The first thing to mention when it comes to preparation is that you should definitely sell off any crafted or sellable gear you currently have. Crafted Notorious gear will be pretty much worthless in 8.3, since you can craft way better gear. Raid BOEs from the current raid will also lose a lot of its value due to the new raid dropping way higher item level gear. You should also sell any augment runes you have, since we'll be getting a reusable augment rune in 8.3, but to obtain this reusable rune you need to get Exalted Reputation with one of the new factions and pay 50k for the rune itself, so it's an investment for sure. The augment runes will probably slowly drop in value, but the value won't go from hero to 0 overnight because of the time it takes to get exalted with the reputations. Also, casual raiders that only raid now and then and don't expect to wipe a lot during raids might probably just want to buy regular runes instead of cashing out 50k for a reusable one. It all depends on how much you raid and how much you wipe. You should buy materials used in raiding consumables like herbs used in flasks and meat used in cooking, since we'll see an increase in demand for everything used by raiders now that a new raid is coming. Save all the crystals and shards you have in your bags and maybe invest in a couple more, since we are getting new catch-up gear, a new Mythic Plus season, a new raid, a new PvP season, and the Visions of Nya'Lotha, and so on. Basically, there will be new gear to obtain which will require new enchants, so naturally the demand for enchants should increase. Save all of the BFA Battle Pet tokens you acquire, maybe consider sending out some missions from the mission table to acquire more, since there will be 2 new pets you can buy from the new factions in 8.3. In total you will need 600 Battle Pet tokens, and you could potentially also buy it, cage it, and resell it to make a decent profit if you get the reputation needed fast enough. If you have invested in any island expedition transmog, do your best to sell it now. Because of the crates being added where you can buy a island crate to target specific rewards, you might see an increase in supply and therefore a decrease in value of pretty much everything from island expeditions. I also suspect that a lot of people might casually run more island expeditions now because they can target mount rewards through those crates, making it much easier to acquire whatever you want from island expeditions. If you are planning to gear up alts and you're missing the Nasjatar essences on some of them, save up your mana pearls, because in 8.3 you can buy an account-bound reputation token with mana pearls, making it much easier to get reputation on alts. If you're not planning on doing the World of Altcraft, however, feel free to buy some epic items with the mana pearls and disenchant them, and keep the enchanting materials and sell enchants in 8.3, as we discussed earlier. Mana pearls can actually get you a pretty decent amount of gold if spent on epics, which are then disenchanted. Do some battlegrounds and acquire some honorable tokens. These are used to buy certain recipes for certain professions to make sellable equipment. Farm as many as you can, since these will probably be used in Shadowlands as well for the same purpose. If you have any alts at level 110 or above and you don't have any professions on them, or you don't use the professions you have, pick up alchemy and log on them once every day to do the anchor weed craft, where you craft a bag of anchors. This actually gives a pretty decent profit, but it depends on the price of anchor weed on your server and the price of regular herbs, since they are used in the craft. If the conversion rate is good on your server, it could provide you with some good semi-passive gold income. So those are my tips on how to prepare for 8.3 and how to set yourself up to make a lot of gold in the first days, weeks or months of 8.3. I do also want to give some tips and advice on how to make gold in 8.3 itself, and although it's not something you technically have to prepare for, you can prepare for it by assembling a team or friends to farm with you. So here we go. The new raid offers many ways of making gold, such as boosting and selling achievement runs, selling gear runs and such. However, you can also farm BOEs by only killing trash mobs, and according to PTR, public test realms, and all of the data we currently have, the BOE gear can actually get corrupted, which is where the gold making opportunities kick in. The amount of gold you'll make will depend on how good the item is and its corruption value, since you'll want as little corruption as possible, and the whole corruption system is pretty much a risk versus reward system, which I think is pretty cool. Let's say a bracer is best in slot for several classes. This bracer can proc corruption between 1 and 20. The less corruption it has, the better it is. So first you'll have to hope to get a BOE, and then you have to hope it has good stats and low corruption. I can imagine some items will sell for millions of gold, especially on servers where you find hardcore raiders and people actually going for high ranks where you pretty much have to put in the effort and buy the best in slot gear. Another gold making opportunity in this raid is the Ahead of the Curve achievement, and since this is the last raid of BFA, getting this achievement rewards a mount, a pretty cool mount. Many people might buy game time a month before Shadowlands comes out to prepare for Shadowlands, and they might want to buy Ahead of the Curve to get that mount, since once Shadowlands comes out, you can never get the mount again. The price for this achievement will decrease as time goes on and more people get the gear and knowledge to sell the achievement, so the better you are at raiding, the more gold you can make from this. But in my experience, even towards the end of an expansion, selling Ahead of the Curve is still pretty good gold per hour. Speaking from an ex-raider and a goldmaker's point of view, this patch is looking good. However, I'm not sure how I feel about the corruption system. To me it's all very confusing. All I know is it feels like risk versus reward, and you have to mix and match and figure out the perfect level of corruption, and as you keep upgrading your legendary cloak, you'll also get more and more resistance to corruption, allowing you to equip more items with higher corruption. It's also a patch that might give me motivation to actually run some Mythic Plus and do some raiding again, since the better gear I have, the more people I can boost when it comes to the Ahead of the Curve boosting. As for how to actually prepare for selling Ahead of the Curve or raid BOE trash farming, you can start messaging your friends and guildies right now, and set up an in-game social group where you plan together so you know how many tanks you have, how many healers you have, how many ranged you have, and how many melee you have. The more you plan beforehand, the less stressful it will be when the time comes to grind. So there it is, my 8.3 preparation guide. Make sure you leave a comment down below how you are planning to make gold in 8.3, and let me know how you feel about these preparation videos. I love preparing for new patches and new expansions because it's an excellent time to make a lot of gold because of the massive influx of players and content. As always, if you did enjoy this video, make sure you give that like button a high five, slap that subscribe button and ring that bell. If you want to watch more videos from me, I'll throw 2 suggestions on the screen right now that I think you should go watch. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.